well do you really know your podcast hosts?
You listen to them every day, but have you ever wondered what goes on behind their microphones? There's a killer on the loose somewhere.
Hold on, guys. Do you really think we should start off that way? It's kind of presumptuous. I mean, how do we know if they listen to us every day?
Hey, I'm just reading what's in the script, okay?
Those are some good lines. All right, they're badly delivered, but they're good lines.
I think we should just hit them with the charm.
Okay, good. Excellent. I'll take the lead on this.
Excuse me, Jade. Why you?
Well, I'm an actor. Duh, I can turn on the charm.
Is it on now?
It's warming up.
Speaking of warm, it's so hot in here. Do we have to do this in a closet?
Yes, the acoustics are better. And trust me, okay, you guys need acoustics. All right, so I want you to take it again and really hit the word killer. You know, just killer.
There's a killer on the loose somewhere.
No need to scream. Okay, all right, you know what I need you to do? I need you to really punch somewhere.
There's a... Give me action.
And action.
Killer on the loose somewhere.
Guys.
All right, okay, do it again, but slower.
Okay.
Guys.
On the loose.
Guys.
What?
Look at this.
Oh, well, one thing's for sure.
Yeah. This sends our podcast
in a whole new direction. Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Jade.
I'm Kara.
And I'm Erica.
And this is Perfectly Marvelous, a podcast currently dedicated to the hit Hulu show Only Murders in the Building.
And today we're reviewing Season 3, Episode 7, CoBro.
CoBro.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And as usual, when we get into the whodunit theory portion, you can jump on over to YouTube and watch the video. The link will be in the description. And while you're there, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. A lot of you have been subscribing, and oh, goodness me, it makes me happy. Every morning when I wake up and I see we have a bunch of new subscribers, it's like the feeling of joy that just... Oh, you like me. You really like me. I feel like Sally Field. Oh, what is it that she says? And it's something that no one ever remembers, that she says, right now. I can't deny the fact that you like me. Right now, you like me. I just love watching her do that. It's joyous. Anywho, if you'd like to watch the full video from start to finish, the whole entire shebang, then go on over to patreon.com/perfectlymarvelouspodcast and sign up to be one of our most marvelous members. And of course, as always, gotta shout out the most marvelous people in all of the land: Lisa, Gail, Kimberly, Melanie, Liz, Kathy,
Yay.
Melissa, Jane, Katrina, and Torika.
Yay.
Woo. Thank you so much. Oh, could not do this without you. Truly, you keep us going. You are the wind beneath our wings. And if you enjoy our videos, please like them, please subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment. We got more comments this week, and oh boy, it makes me happy. So we love it. Thank you so much for engaging with us and subscribing. We've gotten so many new subscribers. It just warms the cold cockles of my black heart. My my evil, villainous heart is warmed. Yes. So, without further ado, let's get it going. Tits up, ladies.
Tits up.
Okay, so I was so excited this episode to see one Miss Jackie Hoffman, the queen, the goddess.
The queen.
More Jackie Hoffman, please. This was so freaking thrilling.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I think I squealed once I realized
who
fully was talking.
Yeah. Definitely. We have a voiceover from Uma, and she's with Bunny.
I know.
It was so lovely to see Bunny again.
No.
It was so cute. It was sad.
I know, it was sad. They had their little, their friendship sandwich ritual that was...
precious.
God. I know, it was so precious. And so then we learned that Uma's a klepto, low-key klepto,
Of course she is.
a sentimental klepto. And of course, Uma was with the trio when they found Ben Glenroy's dead body, and she was looking at that handkerchief. And okay, so what did we think about all of this? Go back to the beginning when she was with Bunny. This was actually partially. Was this my most marvelous moment? Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, should I have picked this moment? Darn, it was just so good to see.
Pretty fabulous.
It was.
Right? So there's something about Jackie Hoffman's face that when she smiles, I feel like I'm seeing, she has the most interesting face, right? Because she's got this resting bitch face like none other. And then when she all of a sudden cracks a smile, it's like, I feel like I'm seeing something I shouldn't be seeing or something. It's like, it's an anomaly almost. It looks so bizarre when she smiles, and her smile is so, her face literally completely changes like one of those theater masks.
You made me think about when Christina Ricci playing Wednesday, when she does that forced smile in What Addams Family Values.
Yes.
And she's like,
that is
she's scaring
best.
me. Oh, talk about face acting.
But because she never smiles, I feel like it's really special when she does. Because what's weird is that when you see her on the after show, the Hulu after show, One Killer Question, she laughs a lot. But then as soon as her face goes, so it's like her personality, she's a comedian, she's very funny, and her job is like laughter. But as soon as her face stops the smile, it goes right back to like so much down. Like that's her resting face. You know, I don't know. It's just so, she's such a special actor. There's no other actor like her. She's so unique. No one can do what Jackie Hoffman does, you know? So we get a lot out of this. She likes people, but she doesn't trust them because people leave. She has the kind of abandonment issues, and
so
that's
sad.
the reason for her kleptoness. I know. When I saw, it was really funny though, the way that she was like slyly pickpocketing like Lester the doorman.
Brilliant.
I think we need a complete one-off episode on Uma.
Oh yeah, I would watch a Uma Bunny spinoff.
I really think so.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
You know, I was thinking about the fidget spinner. Like, the show is so intentional with color. And I'm like, does pink, that really bright pink, it's not a color they usually use in in the palette of the show. And it kind of was very striking with that. So, I don't know.
You're right. Pink did really stand out quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, this opening and the whole thing revealing basically that Uma took this handkerchief and she's a kleptomaniac and all of that reminded me why you never quite know what's coming in this show, because we make all these predictions and then they come forward with an episode that's just brilliant and kind of seamlessly expands on.
And it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, that didn't make any sense. But when you see she's there with them when Ben dies, you're like, well, it is plausible. That definitely happened.
And
I buy it.
I think they're good at covering up. Like, if you go and look back on season 1 and 2, they're good at distracting you with humor or a joke when something important is happening.
Absolutely. The misdirect. Yep.
And I, with this one, I was like, damn, they are good at this. Like, now, this episode made me really start to think about theories and what I might have missed or overlooked, because it made so much sense introducing Uma. I wasn't expecting that at all. I don't know what you guys were thinking coming into this episode, but Uma was the last person I was expecting us to be focused on. And I love that they surprised me. I love that they can still do that. But now I'm less certain about who the murderer could end up being.
I'm totally less certain than ever. Absolutely.
But I like that.
Yeah. I just to add on to them, like I'm almost at a place where I'm like, I might just sit back and enjoy the ride a little bit because you're right. Because there's so many things.
Erica, that's your way. I love that about you. You're like, I'm just enjoying it. Your answer is always, I don't know who the murderer is because we haven't seen all the episodes. I don't have all the information.
I know, but I think that
you're like my mama. She's never tries to solve the mystery.
Totally,
she just
like
is
your
enjoying
mama.
And
that's the greatest compliment you can give me because Jade's mama is like the coolest chick ever.
She really is.
It's like where I rewatched the trailer yesterday just because I'm like, you guys inspired me when I was listening to your feedback last week. And I'm like, I'm going to rewatch this because I feel like they throw so many misdirections, so much at us at once. I get overwhelmed. And I think that's just the way I am. Like when I unpack things, I'm very like strategic. I do one at a time. Yeah. And I'm like, there's just way too much information. And it's not bad. I don't think it's a bad way of doing it. But I'm like, they keep on putting so much in. Like I know in the trailer they highlighted Kimber, they highlighted Loretta, like the way, but that's it. Like there is not enough. And then what they gave us this episode, I'm kind of like, they're still not giving us enough. They're still just kind of going back. And I'm like, all right, okay, keep it coming. Fill my dish, and then eventually we'll figure it out. We'll find the prize in a cereal box at some point.
I don't know what it was, but for me, like I walked away from this episode not remembering a ton, like as usual, but I think it's because I enjoyed it so much. It felt like, I don't know, older Only Murders episodes. And I don't know if it's because of Theo being back or what, but
and Bunny, we saw a lot of greatest hits. Yeah.
But it was just so solidly enjoyable, and it reminded me why I love this show so much.
Me too.
And I agree. Now I'm really excited. This was the
episode that solidly put in my mind season 3 is my second favorite season after season 1. I like this season more than season 2. I definitely do. And I was saying to you guys before we started recording, if you're not a theater person, and if you're not a theater person, I can really see how a lot of people don't get this. They're like, this isn't my humor. These jokes are over my head. I'm actually surprised that they're doing so much to do with theater and so many inside jokes of
so
theater
much
life.
Shakespeare. Like, and not, run-of-the-mill typical high school Shakespeare. Like Richard III and Richard II. Like, neither of those, I think, are... Yes,
like Winter's Tale, Cherry Orchard. These are not plays that you know of. Like you're saying, Romeo and Juliet. Everyone knows what that is. This is something that you actually have to have gone to like school for, have a particular vested interest in, and then like even the Cherry Orchard. That's not the first Chekhov play. That's usually the Seagull. And the next one would be like Three Sisters. The Cherry Orchard is deep Chekhov.
Importance of being earnest while is a well-known play, and it's wonderful, but
it is wonderful.
If you are not into theater, you're not gonna know what the themes are, what the plot is. And even I might be mixing it up with another show, but I thought even at the very beginning there was a very vague Titus Andronicus reference at some point, which is like, I'm gonna have to look it up now. I might be mixing it up with somebody else, but that is like deep cut Shakespeare.
Really, so, seriously.
I don't know. I agree though that if you don't like theater or you're not invested, I think it could be slightly isolating.
A little.
Just wouldn't be getting as much meat from the show, because every time I hear a different reference, I'm like going over that plot in my head and the themes, and I feel like they're sending us these giant signals.
Totally
with
are.
All of those references. It's hard not to pause every time and like write stuff down that I remember.
So I was discussing this with Paul, actually, my podcast host buddy from my other podcast. Listen to it. It's called Shall We Compare Thee, where we compare classic films to their remakes. And now we are doing a MVP series, Murders, Villains, and Private Eyes, to go along with Only Murders in the Building. We just did Clue review. We did a Clue review, and we just did Dial M for Murder and A Perfect Murder, the remake. So check it out. Links in the description. But I was talking with Paul, and he was like, this is an Only Murders in the Building is an interesting kind of murder mystery because it's not like those posters in the background, for example, or the little Easter eggs that are left around the set. It's watching the show and solving the mystery you have to do it in a different way than if you're like reading a mystery, and a lot of times watching other mysteries, because the killer didn't put up that poster. The writers did. So it's almost an amount of how far did you zoom in, and and how much Googling did you do afterwards to find out the references and then what that might be pointing to. So it's kind of like an Easter egg hunt.
Yeah.
It's like a Where's Waldo?
Yeah. Right.
Like
it's a different watch. It's a different mystery watch.
It's very thought. Like there's a lot of thought behind it. It's not. We're not thinking as the killer. But cool. I get to play my little theater detective brain is so happy about this season. So let's keep going. I just wanted to say one thing that I really enjoyed. My probably favorite Uma moment was when she comes out of the elevator and Lester goes, "Nice haircut," and she goes, "Keep it in your pants, perv."
Yes. Oh, love it. So good.
Really, really cracked me up. Oh, so then we get the opening credits, and there was one thing I saw. There was the wallpaper of Charles' apartment was like the hankies.
Yeah.
So that was pretty easy to spot. I didn't see anything else.
That's all I saw.
I liked it, though. I didn't see anything else either.
There was one other go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to say there was one other thing during the Uma opening, is that when you see her outside of Howard's apartment, you could hear him yodeling.
I know.
And he was stealing Sevelin's mouse. But that was at the time when Ben died, so that at least, of course, hammers it that he was definitely absolutely 100% not involved.
Not there.
Yeah. Oh, it was? Oh, yeah, you're right. It was. Because she was just about to go. You're right.
That's why there were so many
really good call, Erica.
pieces in this episode.
Yeah.
Because I was watching at the timestamp, because the moment when she was with Bunny, then it was like a flash forward to...
No, you're right.
Yeah, and then that was the point, and I don't know if we could hear Jonathan, because again, like it was the screener and the sound.
I tried.
But I could hear Howard.
Yeah.
And can I just say, Michael Cyril Cretin learned to yodel for this show.
God,
and
I
he
love
does
him.
such a good job at it. He talked about it in an interview on Only Murders in the Pod for season 2. And he's just great. He just really goes the extra mile as a performer. He's so talented. And he was so insecure about his yodeling abilities too. And I'm like, dude, you're so good. Dude, yodeling is really hard. Yeah. And he took it upon himself to learn how to yodel. And then when he said he needed a little extra help, the show put him with someone like a yodeling coach. But he really put in the time to learn how to do that. And he's great at it.
Amazing.
So, yeah. So then, so Charles and these hankies, right? So Charles has lunch with Uma. And he finds out that she has Ben's hanky. I'm like, how? Why would you pry a bloody hanky out of a dead man's hand? What is your take on this guy?
I know. I'm like, ew.
The kleptomania. It's a compulsion. Like,
I guess
it's not like she's actively making rational, logical, well thought out choices. Like the mania part of it is you are compelled to do it. So she sees something that catches her attention and she's gonna get it. And I was just like, damn, Uma, I want to know what else you've taken over the years.
Did you guys
she's got a whole closet.
Did you zoom in on a closet? Because I was looking at that painting in the back that was peeking through, and I'm like, no,
I saw that.
That's not Charles.
Yeah.
That's not the Charles painting, because that was already, but I was like, I want to get a good picture and zoom in.
There has to be Easter eggs in there.
Yeah.
The idea that she just took an entire painting off a wall really reminded me of, so my mama and her best friend, her name was Shelley. She passed away. I miss her so very much. She was a bit of a klepto, and we would go to like restaurants and stuff. And one day we were at this Mexican restaurant, and she came, we paid the check and we were all about to leave. And she comes back with her coat like draped over this big thing. And she's like, go to the car, pull the car around now. And I was like, what? Okay. And I didn't even have my learner's permit, I don't think at the time, but I had to drive for my mama. They had been indulging in some margaritas. So it was Jade's turn to drive home. So I was like, okay. And so I got really scared and I pulled the car around, and she had this whole entire painting under her jacket that she she had just taken off of the wall. It's still in our my mama's house.
I don't even want to know how that happened.
It can be done. The painting was definitely not as large as the one Uma had, but just the idea of tiny little Uma like stealing a huge painting off a wall really tickled me. Oh
wow.
Gosh.
So, so Charles finds out she's got the hanky, and then she sold it for $7,000. Later, we find that out to Dickie, I guess, right? That's we see him holding it. That's the hanky, so that's canon, right? Okay. So Charles and the hankies. Have we all thought about the reality of this situation a little bit? Can you imagine a huge celebrity like Ben dying, and you're in a Broadway show with him, and the only real thing that he's ever given to you, the only memory you have of him is this hanky? Would you just be giving it to Charles Hayden Savage randomly when he just goes, "Hey guys, give me all your hankies and I'll make a quilt"? Like, the reality of that situation really hit me on this when he just dumped them all out on the table. I'm like, I would be like, heck no, you ain't getting this hanky. This is my hanky, bitch. You can see it. It's right here. I got it. Like, can I have it back now?
Especially knowing that Kimber had made money off of it and Uma then made money off of it. I know that happened before we learned that. I'd be like, no, I'm going to keep this. This is significant.
Or even sentimental. Like, no.
You know, or just it's a cool story.
Why did Charles have to take them from? Couldn't he just see that they still have them? Like, yes, I have mine. Proof right here. I don't know. It was probably I'm way overthinking this, but
it was just Charles being terrible at investigating and being subtle. Like the only way he could think to get people talking about their hankies was to suggest that they all just show them to each other and make a quilt. I was like, I'm like, all right, man.
So, okay, Oliver now. Yeah.
Sorry, I just paused on the closet. And did you notice there was a traffic cone in there?
No.
In Uma's closet?
This is so funny. I can't wait until we can see the HD version. There's also a lamb stuffed animal in that closet. She's stealing from a baby.
Of course she is.
Come on, Uma.
All right, so next stuff, let's move on to Oliver. This whole auditioning for the constable. Oliver, he's at the end of his rope, and Cliff's got some connections. He's got some Matthew Broderick connections.
Yeah, Cliff has some serious connections.
But I just loved that bad audition. that guy. I gotta show you guys this. Hold on.
Rich of the Pickwick Trip.
That's so bad.
Blitz.
Okay. It's a patter song. So if you can bring a little more patter pep up.
This is as pattery as I get.
And then this part, when he just walks away.
Everyone stinks.
And the guy just turns back around. When all
and everyone stinks.
The guy turns around like, hey, dude, what the fuck?
Do you know?
I don't know why that really made me laugh hard.
It was funny.
My husband thought it was Larry David. He's like, isn't it that guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm? I'm like, that's not Larry David. Although he kind of resembles him at this point. Everybody kind of looks like Larry David now. But
that could be a very good Curb moment, though. I could see it.
And so then the very next moment after this was, whose marvelous moment was this?
It was mine. It was mine. It was so silly.
Cliff's stress dancing.
Why are they being kept from me?
I feel like we're working off old lists, like ancient crusty lists.
Just pot of erase.
Cliff, darling, please. You know how upsetting it is for me when you stress dance.
It's these ping-ponging pressures of producing. How do you do it? If it's not one thing, it's a goddamn mother. And sometimes I feel like I don't have a single good... Oh, wait. I have an idea.
Hurrah. But run it by mommy first, in case it's a stinker.
And can I just say, the outfits that Cliff and Donna are serving, I mean, this ruffled shirt with this vest from Cliff, and Donna's like pink and green metallic floral embroidered cape-like shawl thing. I mean... Fashion, high fashion.
That's the thing. Cliff's outfit. One, I thought of the shirt, like the puffy shirt from Seinfeld, and then
yes,
his little vest. I was just getting.
I want that.
Like
vest.
Abu vibes from Aladdin. And especially when he was dancing, I don't know if because I was tired when I watched this episode the first time, but I was just like, that's a very interesting outfit. But the stress dancing was brilliant. Like,
It's so brilliant.
and it worked because he got an idea. Maybe I'll have to try that next time I'm stressed.
thinking so. I think Cliff's onto something. Truly.
But when Donna says, "Mommy, tell mommy first," I immediately recoil.
It's not his real mother. It's, trust me, not. There's
But
no
also
way.
right before, and right before he said something, then he said first it's this, and then it's the mothers or something. So, but like right after.
No. He said if it's not one thing, it's the goddamn other or something.
But I thought I heard mother too.
Okay.
When I listened.
Me too. He says it's like, the way he says it is strange. But Donna was killing it. Can you guys look up the name of the actor? Because I totally forgot to get her name. I always forget it. But she is freaking fabulous when Oliver says, I have too much integrity to make him come back. And Donna says, counterpoint, you have no integrity. And this is the perfect time to make use of that.
Linda Emond?
Linda Emond, thank you.
Yep.
Everything she says, her way of talking, just, so delightful. It's so theatrical and wonderful. No one talks like that. She's very unique.
I had a theater teacher that talked like that, but it was 100% on purpose and,
Oh, yeah.
The scarves. I miss her scarves. She had really good scarves.
Yeah. The way she said Charles was our only name. She has this sing-songy way of talking. It's so great.
Like a little
my choir director talked
vibrato.
Like
that makes sense.
She said again a lot. She's like, again.
Again.
Let's sing it again. We're doing the humming song. Let's sing it again.
Again.
Erica, stand up in front of everybody and sing it by yourself in front of 400 people again. I'm like, fuck you. And I did. It was great.
The last song I sang in choir was 50 Nifty United States because I think I stopped being in choir in like 3rd grade. So that is what is seared in my memory.
That was your big moment.
Yes.
Oh, I can see it now. And to go back in time. Oh, if only I had my time machine working. Oh, it's always in the shop.
Much better at singing than I was at ballet. Did not require as much grace.
So in my notes I have here, how is this show happening? They would just never, I'm getting over it. I have to let it go. But just the reality of the fact that they would go with Jonathan as Ben's replacement. Also, the fact that Jonathan just doesn't want to do it. That's got to be showing through to carry a Broadway show 100%. As the lead. To have someone not, to just be terrified, that's going to show in his performance.
Smell fear and insecurity from a mile away on stage.
Suspending my disbelief. The second audition that they did too, the bad audition when Oliver is just flat on the floor. He's just done. It really cracked me up.
That was fantastic.
So then Charles is upset that Oliver replaced him with Matthew Broderick. But Oliver's thrilled. Matthew Broderick, I've had sex dreams about this moment. I'm like, what?
Like, of course you did, Oliver.
And Matthew Broderick's response is like, still nothing. I'm like,
okay. That must be nice for you.
He's like a robot.
Matthew Broderick is indeed a robot. This is, okay, hot takes. I'll say it now, so I'm going to get off it. Matthew Broderick is not my favorite actor because he has the emotional range of a tip of an extremely sharpened pencil. That is his...
teaspoon.
He is, hi, I'm Matthew Broderick, and I am upset. Hi, I'm Matthew Broderick, and I am extremely happy. Yep. Hi, I'm Matthew Broderick, and I'm in love.
Matthew Broderick being sardonic works because that's about it. Like, that's him. Right. Everything else, I'm just like, is somebody in there?
Is somebody in there?
Yeah, like, what is
this thing on?
What is going on?
No, and there's one thing that Oliver says where he goes, "Don't do it again. Don't make it too perfect, or people are going to think it's an AI."
Yeah,
it's like that. Yeah,
like, it is.
It is. Is Matthew Broderick real? I need proof. Show me the evidence.
I've seen jokes repeatedly about people thinking that this season was somewhat written by AI, and part of me wondered if that was hilarious.
Like a
poke.
Well, that's just mean. I mean, I will say some of the jokes are a little stale, but the thing is I kind of love like dad jokes. I'm just a sucker for a cheesy pun, so I kind of love it. Like we all knew that when the fish was in that toilet, you know, we all knew where this was going. No one, it was not a shocker, but it was fucking hilarious because it's Steve Martin over a toilet bowl. The way that he just goes, Mr. President McKinley, like Steve Martin, like,
and Carol's on the floor.
Only Steve Martin, you know, it's just so good.
Oh, he's
Brilliant.
If you don't like Steve Martin, you're gonna hate us because I feel like every episode there's at least a chunk where we're gushing over
the haters.
him.
I feel that the haters have long left.
They have left the building.
We're all only lovers in the building, and we're talking to our people. Hi, people. Hi, loves. How you doing? We love you. Yeah,
Well,
no,
it's like
everyone's here for it. We're here for it.
Steve Martin coming up with the idea for this show was 3 like old men in New York sitting around solving murders. So like it's gonna be a
cheesy
little
humor,
cheesy like dad humor, and I'm here for it.
Yep, we are. It's
my favorite type.
Loving it. Yep. So Oliver, I mean Charles has beef with Matthew Broderick because he wanted to be Ferris Bueller. Okay.
Can you imagine?
I would have loved like a fever dream of Steve Martin or Charles doing like Donkashane. You know?
Yeah. I like the parade in downtown Chicago.
Okay. Steve Martin, if you're listening, because you know he listens to the podcast, longtime listener, friend of the pod. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Can you, if you could do me a favor, and in your spare time, like right now, if you could make a TikTok real quick of you singing his hairbrush, put some Donkashane on in the background, and in your mind, just get on that parade float, please. And
Selena Gomez,
please and thank you.
Yeah. She's on TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That'd be great.
Yes.
Didn't Oliver say something like, you were 42 or however old you were at the time? I was like, oh, I love it so much.
Oh, yes. And yeah, at the end when Oliver was like, you would have made a better Ferris Bueller. Really? No. Like,
no. Like, I can't.
Do you mean that? I want to mean that, but no. No. Because it's true. You know, if there's one role that Matthew Broderick really pulled off, it's Ferris Bueller. And the funny thing is I think that, sardonic. And I think that on paper, Ferris Bueller was written to be one way. And then Matthew Broderick came in and made it something else. So I do think that he was kind of miscast or strangely cast as this charming, smooth, like everybody loves him kind of guy. He's an unconventional choice for that kind of a role. But because he brought his sardonic Matthew Broderickness,
it was so cute.
Yeah, it made it.
And also, you got to remember when it came out for me. I forget how old I was.
When did that
It's legendary, you know?
It is.
And it just became a unique...
I'd say 89.
86. Same year as Stand By Me.
So I was 7.
I was not alive.
Yeah, so... So I'm like, oh, he's so cute.
In 2 years I came
He's
along.
so cool. He cut school.
I
know, right?
related to Cameron.
Oh, yeah. As an adult, I definitely relate to Cameron.
The anxiety. And this whole time, I'm just like, Ferris, what the fuck? Stop it. It's like, this is irresponsible. And the Charlie Sheen moment in that movie, I remember as a teenager, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, he was I think he was very attractive as the drug addict guy, but he looked good then.
And do you know that to play that role, he stayed awake for 48 hours or like 72 hours or something?
You could tell.
You can really, really tell.
But he does. He was very handsome back then. And then Jennifer Grey, I think I related to her too because I was a middle child. I was the only girl, and I'm like,
we can't see for me when I remember when little young Jade saw Ferris Bueller, I was just like, Mia Sara is
oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
I'm feeling things inside myself. Things are occurring inside of me where I think I'm in love.
It's funny how you can like pinpoint media moments where you're like, oh, this is different. What is this feeling?
Mia Sara, she changed me. I have been changed.
That's why I love the name Sloane to this day.
Such a great name.
Peterson.
So sexy.
Wonderful.
Anywho,
there we go. Tangent.
Thank you, Ferris Bueller, for waking us all up.
We had to have a little Ferris appreciation moment because,
that's true. With Matthew, it's only fair.
For Matthew, you know. And I gotta say, I did not mind him here at all. I was really hoping that I wouldn't have to have a hot take opinion on like, oh God, Matthew Broderick, this is why I don't like the man. It's not like I don't like him. It's just not my favorite actor. I get nothing out of it. I also saw him on Broadway in Nice Work If You Can Get It. I went with one of my very good friends who is a huge Matthew Broderick fan, huge Ferris Bueller fan. And both of us walked out of that theater like, well, everyone has an off night, don't they? It just was not his best performance. I think he might have been sick. He was so out of it for that show, and he had gotten rave reviews in Nice Work. So, and so forever in my mind, that's like my impression of Matthew Broderick in person is like he just didn't have it going on that day on stage.
Hopefully one day that'll be redeemed.
No, this kind of like redeemed him because he was great. This clearly was a role written for him, and he did great. He did. And
it was
well.
like it was a little cheeky, like winking at himself,
And making fun of method actors.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
We got a gut milk mention.
I love that. Charles and Oliver drinking chilled gut milk.
Blue raspberry gut milk out of wine glasses. Getting a little toasty on the wine milk. I mean, on the gut milk. Yeah.
Precious.
Do you guys know, too, that the writer who came up with gut milk, it's on Only Murders in the Pod, I think season 1 interview. They were talking about how did you come up with that? And they were talking about in the writer's room when gut milk came up and how happy they were to think of that. And then on Only Murders in the Pod, they said, and because it's like a play on gut milk, and the writer who came up with it goes, oh, did I just not understand my own joke? Like she didn't know about the gut milk pun. I was bowled over by that, and I loved it.
So funny.
It's so delightful to know.
Well, you're so smart and you don't realize it.
Yeah. She just thought it was a funny thing to call it. And I'm like, no, it's like a pun. It's a play on words. Oh, it was so good. Happy accidents. So, okay. Rehearsal with Matthew Broderick. He fully invests himself in his roles.
Oh, yes, he does.
And exhausting Oliver. I gotta say, though, I was very tickled by this because I rehearse like Matthew Broderick. Okay, so y'all know I can podcast till the cows come home. I can go a long time podcasting, and that's how I am in everything I do. I go the full mile and then some. So whenever I rehearse for theater, for anything I'm doing, I can rehearse for literally hours on end. Like I can do take after take. I'm always wanting more takes. Stanley Kubrick and I would have gotten along very well because he famously did like 500 takes for everything. And I would have loved that. Most actors hate it. This is so I was kind of like, I get you, Matthew Broderick, though. I don't know if I'm quite as obnoxious as he is about it, but I can relate. I'm very thorough. There was a moment when he said, oh, he's from Manhattan? Well, slap my ass and call me Mamie.
Yeah.
Oh, that was wonderful. And yeah, when he was doing, well, how would a constable from Nova Scotia, would he point like this? No, he would do it like this, not like this, like this, not this. And Oliver's like, can't take it anymore.
Yeah. Too much for Oliver.
But, do you think maybe, just maybe, and maybe I'm thinking about this too much, maybe he was like so upset it wasn't Charles and he missed him so much that Matthew Broderick just pissed him off and annoyed him more because I feel like Oliver would appreciate an actor like that. But,
I know.
Yeah.
He was grumpy and missing his bestie.
Yeah.
And it bled through.
Yeah.
I think 100%. That was like, he's not Charles. It's not the same.
Oh.
No. And when Oliver was going, he was kicking him to the curb and he brought him to the door and there was Charles standing there. Did you notice that he said he doesn't exist? He doesn't have parents, etc., which I thought was an interesting choice of words because the parent theme this season. And then he said I could hit the delete key and he would be gone, eradicated from the musical, like a rat in a microwave. I was like, okay, we just went there, didn't we?
Oh, that is a terrible image.
Yes.
I mean, I thought a pork chop in a microwave was bad, but then you're talking rats in a microwave. No. Also,
that I was not on that episode. That's when, was I sick? I don't know. I can't remember.
With Jerry Blau?
That's the thing. With the way Loretta prepared dinner, I was like, I am offended. This is awful.
Okay. I mean, I've never prepared a pork chop in my life. Never eaten a pork chop.
Slow smoke it. Don't microwave it.
She said she would zap a perfectly pink one in her microwave. And I was like, I did, but should you though? Just because you can. Does that mean you should?
I just thought of the whole stereotype or whatever about white people and bland food. Like, my family's Cajun. We season our food. And I could not, the whole time, I was like, that must be the worst meal Oliver has ever had.
Oh, yeah. He's got a shiny tooth to prove it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, it's solid, so there's that. Is not a fan. Love chewing on chop. So but the rat thing reminded me that there was, again, on Only Murders in the Pod. It's a great listen. A lot of behind the scenes stuff. They interview the director from the previous episode, Chris Koch, about the rat thing with Jerry.
Yeah.
So we were all confused about, remember we said these lines where he was like talking about, he said, go home to your boyfriend or your husband, and he's like, and eat his food. There's like a big thing about this killing of the rat, and he does it in such a way that he looks, he's got these like hungry eyes. And then he says to Oliver, you came on a good night. And they kept that in. So apparently there was a whole thing that was filmed where he took that rat and threw it on the grill, grilled it up. And after it had been filmed, the producer said, no, can't fly.
Oh my God.
You cannot have this rat on the grill. It's a bridge too far. And so they had to go back and paint it out of every frame and just cut the whole rat on the grill thing. But I found that and because we said, I think that this something about this scene felt weird because was it cut out of something that was a longer bit that would have made more sense? And in fact, it was. So I was happy to learn that.
Wow. Yeah. I'm glad they cut that out.
Me too.
I think it would have been funny, but it just would have served to be more concerning because Jerry's clearly not doing well. There's a lot of mental concern going on with Charles and Jerry. I'm like, are these people? Are we okay here?
Yeah,
we need to have a talk. So
it's so funny though.
So Charles comes over, and so when Oliver fires Matthew Broderick. He what?
He was peeking. He was there, forlorn.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't want to be in the show. I just want to hang out. It was so cute. And then my most marvelous moment was right here with Oliver apologizing to Charles. And it was so sweet. And he does this horse imitation.
Outacted by a horse. Maybe he was. But I'm guessing that horse enjoyed himself on set that day because he got to spend it with Charles Hayden Savage, who was probably kind to him and fed him a fistful of oats out of his palm. And I bet that horse didn't realize how good he had it until he had another scene partner on another set who just rode him and 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 rode him. Until he couldn't take it anymore. And I bet that horse wishes he could say sorry, but he can't. Not because he's a horse, because he's a little messed up emotionally. So all he can do is hate himself and wish he were dead for hurting his best friend and that someone would turn him into glue.
Aww. Apology accepted. Okay, I'll do the play.
Oh, it's so... we love to see it, you know?
The delivery of any more.
He wrote him and wrote him and wrote him. So I can take it anymore.
That's commitment, Martin Short. Like that was
so good.
Excellent. I lost it watching that the first time. I think
I was dead.
It's like it was way late. I watched it way too late and I was already kind of deliriously tired and that absolutely destroyed me. I could not stop laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so sweet when they hugged.
I know. And the way he just hung on to him for dear life. The way he embraced him, I was like, oh, it's beautiful.
I ship them. They don't need
absolute.
No, goodbye, Loretta. Bye, Joy.
What was their name? Cholliver?
I was just thinking that Cholliver.
Laurel,
not Laurels.
Laurels.
No, Cholliver. I like Cholliver.
Yeah.
Be good.
Precious.
Yeah.
It just made the end, though, more sad to me when they realized that, Mabel had moved out.
I know.
I was like, oh, no, we've got 2 out of 3.
I can't take another episode of them all split up. Please, no. Not.
I know.
I hope at the very beginning of the next episode they all get the band back together. I need this to happen.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I need more trio time.
Yeah.
For sure.
But so they get a little wasted on some gut milk, and Oliver ends up showing Charles Loretta's book. And Charles goes, well, I don't think she did it. And Oliver's like, well, go, God, good, great. That means she's the killer.
Yeah.
Let the record show.
Yeah. Just like, son of a bitch.
Yeah. But yeah, so
Charles.
Then this really does lead us right into Mabel. So Mabel got a lot going on this episode. This was a very Mabel-focused episode.
Love it.
So Theo is back.
Yay! Theo.
Yay! So he's helping her pack. They've become friends. They have remained friends. This is joyous. And they're just so cute together doing like sign language and
I love their friendship.
I love their friendship.
Such
their chemistry
great
together.
chemistry. Sorry, Jade, we're doing it again. But like, it's
I know,
true.
okay, wait, calm down.
But they had excellent friendship chemistry. Like, I felt that their friendship was lived in. And
yes,
I think
me
that's
too.
part of why I liked this episode so much. Like, it was
Same
just
here.
so good to see him back and see a friendship dynamic play out. And,
I know, I loved it.
I love Theo.
Okay, so before we move on, anything more about Oliver?
So, yeah, I just want to just note that our trio, or not our trio, at least Oliver and Charles are using things to like, maybe I'll offer this to give him as like, I'll bring the hanky so he could talk to him. Or
peace offering.
A peace offering. Or, we'll take this so we could talk to Mabel because, they both realized that they lost touch with Mabel. The way, so I just noticed that's how they're doing it. They have a hard time expressing themselves. Like,
I mean, they're boomers.
Yeah.
So it's like precious boomers.
And they do very well for boomers, let's say. Let's give them a round of applause. Credit where credit is due. Yes.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
No.
Obviously, I squealed when Mel Brooks popped up on my
goodness.
screen.
Oh, God.
That was delightful.
And he looks pretty good for 97.
Yes, he does.
He's looking good. But I love Mel Brooks and Martin Short and Steve Martin. So,
This is so funny.
Did get a chance to see.
What? You never saw the producers?
Well, I was busy at the time.
It ran for 6 years. Over 2,500 performances. And you never got a chance to see it?
Yeah, well, the times never worked out for me. Anyway.
So cute. I just love it. Ran for 6 years.
I know.
Like, how did you just miss it? And the fact
and why would you admit it?
Right? It's the producers. First of all, and two, you're talking to Mel. Like, just pretend.
But I felt like Mel was on his level, though. He's talking to him.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yep. They are peers. Yes. And I do think it's fun to see and be reminded how important Oliver is, and he is well known in the theater world. And gosh, I wish we got more of Mel Brooks, but I will take any little bit.
And he was a surprise. I was like, Mel Brooks.
I love it.
Yep, he zoomed it in. He pulled up that zoom from wherever he was in the world. Thank you, Mel. We appreciate it. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
So, okay, let's get into Mabel because we got a lot of Mabel this episode. There was so many clues, so much progression, I feel, with the Taubert storyline as well. So let's get into it. We get the return of Theo. James Caverly is back, and it was adorable.
It really was.
I just have to note, one of my notes is, why is Theo the only smart one? Like, I have this specific, like, I don't understand why this guy who is not involved in all their different things is like the only one to kind of get the
I think that helps though. Like, he's he's not as engrossed in it. And sometimes you need that outsider perspective for something to click. Plus,
true.
Having one of your senses, this unavailable to you, it forces you to become more aware and observational. And I think that helps Theo tremendously. And, he seems to be very intuitive. And Mabel and Charles and Oliver all really need that.
Absolutely. He is a great addition to the Scooby-Doo team. I'm loving it.
Love. I also love that Mabel makes mistakes with ASL because I think that's quite authentic and and believable versus like, all of a sudden funny. She's
Did you guys pick up that the sign for nerd is literally this, pushing up your glasses? That was so funny to me.
Oh, man.
So Theo knows that Dickie is having a silent auction for Ben's movie stuff. Of course, the deaf person would know about the silent auction, but thought that was funny. I'll be here all week. Try the salmon. So Mabel's like, brilliant plan. Let's talk to Dickie. Then Mabel and Theo go to Ben's apartment, and I really loved the part where Theo's signing to Mabel, like what to say and how to. She's like, CoBro 2 is my favorite, favorite CoBro film because of the Jamaican accent. And he's just like, what? Wait, not at all.
Well, when she was repeating what Theo said, because clearly Theo is a very big fan of CoBro, and he attributed a deeper meaning to it than I think we may have expected. But when she was repeating that to Dickie, kind of, trying to seem authentic and impress him, the way Dickie responded, that I was like, he wrote it. Okay.
I got that too.
Yes.
I felt like Kara right there. I'm like, I'm turning it to Kara and Jade.
Yep.
I love it. But
I was a little ahead of this.
Proud, basically. And it was just like, oh, you caught that. And I was like, Dickie, you son of a bitch. You did this. I don't know. There was so much in that whole scene, all of the silent auction stuff in Ben's apartment. I felt like I needed to go back and
I definitely want to go back. I can't wait to watch it in high definition and see what we missed.
More Cobra eggs that look like Jade eggs.
I didn't. Were there more?
Yeah, it's at 21:48-ish is when she's talking to Dickie, and it's in the background. There's a pencil cup or a pen holder, and then some sort of, it looks like one of those Catholic saint candles in front of them, but you can see the
Ben Jesus candle. Yeah. That's great.
So I was just like, man, I don't know. Like, that could be absolutely nothing, but I definitely clocked them. I was like, oh, there's more.
So Dickie says that he won't give Mabel a juicy story. He's like, if you're barking up the wrong tree, if you're trying to get me to say something good for your podcast, or if you want to sell a story. And he's like, everyone's trying to make a buck off Ben. And then he literally turns and he goes, hey, there's a minimum bid on this.
Yes.
Yep.
I love that.
And then the very next moment that we see with him, he's really confiding so many details. And so I don't know if this is a writing weird choice or if this is a clue that maybe he's spilling his guts to Mabel for a reason. Because he really puts Ben down by saying all these things. He's got I covered up. He was like Ben's fixer. So we get so many clues about Dickie here. It was like I couldn't have written things down fast enough. I was like furiously pause, wait, got to write it all down what he said. So
it was like, what do you say? With not having subtitles on screeners,
I know
it's hard.
So he cleaned up his messes. He covered up all of his stuff. He was his fixer. He was always, second, kind of like Jan and Poppy, overlooked child. He was the adopted child.
Exactly.
Yeah. When they thought they couldn't have kids.
Right. Yeah. And then Miracle Ben shows up and just steals the show, literally and figuratively. And he had these DUIs, the offensive jokes, the dick pics, the copious dick pics. And Mabel was like, I never heard of any dick pic. Where can I? She's like pulling out her phone, like,
yeah. It's like, oh, where did I miss that?
Dick pics, you say? I thought that was funny. And Mabel's like, I never.
That was cute.
And so he says, so yeah, I don't know if this is to be read into more or not. I have a feeling that it might be a writing oversight, that they might have just not noticed that they contradicted themselves completely. But like, why would he open up so much to Mabel after saying, "I'm not going to do that"? You know?
Was it when she said? Because right before he started talking to her, she went up to him and she apologized and she said, like, we shared that she lost a lot of people, and maybe that was like his breaking point, like where he's like he had to just let it.
Well, so there's a phenomenon, essentially in, I guess, criminology, when there's this compulsion that people have to confess.
Yeah.
And, you can get right up to the line sometimes of admitting something. And most of the time, people, especially if they're feeling any sort of guilt or resentment about what they've done,
right?
If you are offering a empathetic ear, you're willing to listen, and you make some sort of connection, things will just start to spill out. Yeah. And that's how I saw it with Dickie here. Whether or not he felt guilty because he had something to do with Ben's death, or just because, I'm sure he felt a great deal of relief when Ben died. He talks about that, I think.
Right.
Yeah. And, he probably feels guilty about that, even if he didn't have anything to do with his death. So
he clearly feels guilty. There's a lot of guilt going on. We get that a lot from Dickie. Every time we cut to him alone, he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Part of it is obviously a writing convenience, but Mabel also empathized with him and was genuine in her apology, and he needs to talk about this. Right. So I think it just started coming out of him, and it was very interesting to hear.
But
that's for sure.
Just thinking about, like, he said he spent his life protecting Ben. So he could be guilty for not protecting him when that happened. Or it could be because he actually is guilty of killing him.
So many ways to view it and spin it once again.
Yeah, Ben was basically his job, is what he says. And so then he has, he says this line, "A person's a collection of 1,000 little details, and when they're gone, those are the things you miss the most."
I loved that.
Made me think of Uma because of the collections of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there is that theme. And it really, just to stop and say, everyone, appreciate those you love now while they're here. Because you never know. You just never know. Life is crazy. Life is weird. Life is all too short. So
it's just
text your grandma.
I was going to say, when he said that, I thought of my grandpa, my mom's dad, and he passed away when I was 4. I had just turned 4. But I remember, like, he had the best, like, big gap tooth smile, and I can still see that. And he would do this, like, funny face. And I'm not going to do it because it'll look ridiculous, but I can picture just that in my head. And when he talked about 1,000 details, I was like, God, that's true. Like, you never know what is going to stick out and stay with you. Which is why I went back and forth about how I feel about Dickie.
Yeah.
This whole episode.
Yeah. Totally. So, so we get to these clues. He loved the green tea boba, funny dog videos, and Ben's watch was 20 minutes early. Now, I cannot... Actually, I'm going to talk about that more in theories.
Yeah.
The watch thing, because this really does lead into everything to do with theories. So, so just the facts here, ma'am. Greg has been following Ben for years. Dickie, he says that he very much thinks it was Greg. It has to be Greg. He's very insistent about this. So then we get the cops say that Ben died at 12:06, really 12:26, and later Mabel. Revelations! So Agatha Christie.
That was great.
So, Mabel and Taubert are investigating with Theo. And so let's talk about Taubert here. Talk about Taubert. Go.
Erica, I know. The whole time I was sitting there like giggling and just falling more and more for Taubert, especially like I thought it was so cute. One, ridiculous. I was offended.
You were falling more and
I'll explain.
I was like,
I'll explain. So I was back and forth. Look, he's beautiful.
I love Jesse Williams.
Human.
He's a very handsome, attractive person, but no.
I still don't trust him. I was just very attracted to him during this episode. But when he shows Mabel the art that he put together for the podcast with Bloody Mabel, I was just like, what the fuck, man? I was starting to really like you. Like, that is so off base. And her reaction, and he's immediately like, yeah, it's a terrible idea. It must have been like some fan art or something. Like, that was very cute. Like, I think he played that off very well, but it's just so obtuse. And that made me question him. I was like, you have terrible judgment if you thought Mabel was gonna go for that.
The most male-gazy possible image he possibly could have made.
And her teeth.
Mabel was just like,
tongue. Yeah.
No. So much no to this.
No. But that links, the Bloody Mabel links to syndicating. And I know when I listened to your theories, when I was doing it, I'm like, yes. I think that he's a plant.
I agree.
He's really pushing this Bloody Mabel podcast, isn't he?
Yeah. But I will say, I absolutely loved his interactions with Theo and how they were essentially bonding over, Mabel being kind of hard to read sometimes. And the sign language where Theo walks in and is immediately like, oh, you didn't tell me about his eyes. And
what? You didn't tell me about his eyes?
Yeah, Theo, because he sees Taubert for the first time, and he's looking at Mabel and basically saying, like, you didn't tell me how attractive this guy was. You didn't tell me how beautiful his eyes were. Like, that moment.
Oh, and I'm like, is this a line? Yeah. And this is just Kara's inner monologue, everyone.
No, he says it. He says it.
Wait, Theo does?
Yeah, I'll find the timestamp because he signs it to Mabel like, oh, you didn't tell me about his eyes. And then Taubert asks what he says, and Mabel makes
that moment. That's what he says. Okay, that was one of the things I missed because, we didn't have enough time to keep going back and rewatching. I didn't catch that. Yes, I know what you're talking about now.
It was very very cute. And when he kind of slides the piece of paper over to Taubert saying, like, I have a hard time figuring her out too. I liked how friendly he was with Taubert. That's what I went back and forth on him. Like, the Bloody Mabel thing completely turned me off.
Yeah.
But then he was charming the rest of the episode and helpful. And I was just like, damn it. This is what gets me in trouble in life.
Yeah,
that whole scene again. I didn't do a rewatch of the previous episode, but was there a mention of them doing a podcast together? Like, I was kind of like, wait, what? They're doing a podcast now? Okay, I think I must have missed that. But also, I remember that like it kind of like was kind of glaring to me when the equipment that Taubert brought, which was a lot more expensive that she was used to. And it just kind of felt like I kept on, like, remember, I was like, you guys were in my head when you were talking about syndicating. I'm like, well, maybe that's where that's where they're getting it. But yeah.
Access to the expensive equipment. Yeah, that's possible. I didn't
definitely want to talk about that in theories.
Yeah,
sure.
I think theories is a theme song.
Yeah. Ooh, theories theme. We do need that. I will look.
You said theories, and for some reason, memories from cats popped into my head. Theories. I was like, perfect. Great.
That's actually not bad.
Guys, if you can't tell, we love theater.
Yeah.
It's just gonna happen.
Yep. Welcome to the Theater Appreciation Show.
Acting.
The Theater Appreciation Show after show.
Just don't do it like Matthew Broderick or Oliver.
Gosh. Oh, buddy. Ugh.
So okay. So Theo brings this CoBro drawing, and Dickie invented CoBro, surprising no one. We already knew that this was coming. Literally CoBro. It was staring us right in the face. And
I still don't think he's a twin.
No. And so then Mabel says, okay, but first we have all this stuff. Okay, but first we got to record a podcast and get you out of jail. And I love that recording podcast equals fight crime. I love that. That's all they need to do to like exonerate this gentleman, this man is to we just got to record a podcast and the cops will act. It's so great.
Yeah, this is where I have to suspend my disbelief.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The influence they have on these detectives throughout all seasons.
And Greg also was a kidnapper, and he was like, threatening them and like to
that
harm
was
them.
Aggravated kidnapping.
Yes, I'm like, I had a couple comments about that.
Like in Texas, I don't know, like, you know, every state has different penal codes, different elements to certain crimes, different punishments. But in Texas, what he did is punishable by up to 20 years in prison. Yeah. So the whole time I was like, they just let him out. Like he still committed other crimes.
Stalking.
Yeah. That's a big one.
And I don't know, like he wasn't pretending to be like an officer, but he was saying he was security. I don't know if impersonating a security guard is something, but they did say when they noticed the comic book, like it panned onto Greg. I noticed how like intentional filming was into that. But yeah.
And on the comic, when Jesse Williams is like, oh no, Ben Glenver, that's a B for Ben, don't you know? I was like, you're such a
bad liar.
But then Mabel goes, yeah, some guys' names actually start with an R.
I did like that.
That was funny.
That was a good one.
That reminded me, Dickie, that whole scene where he's talking about, you know, being insistent that Greg was the killer. He took his eye off of him for, you know, just a minute and he ended up killing Ben. It had the same sort of, I don't know, vibe as when we talked about Tobert being insistent that it was Greg, where that could mean he just was ignorant and willing to believe it, or he really needed Greg to be responsible because he had some sort of culpability. So it's the same thing with Dickie. I was like, okay, is this brother actually having genuine guilt and resentment, truly believing that Greg is responsible for his brother's death? Or does he know how much influence Mabel has, that Mabel is clearly fishing around and he needs to put on a damn good front to, you know, throw off suspicion of him?
That's what I just don't know. I just do not know how much we should believe anything Dickie says.
I don't
know. I don't know. I don't like Tobert.
Yeah.
I felt like he is there to sway.
We should talk about this in theories.
We shall.
And unfortunately, Erica, I think I'm starting to get on board with not trusting him. I would still...
You could still lust after him. Look at Jan.
Yeah. There it is.
True. Jesse Williams, it's his fault. He's just too pretty. I blame him.
Probably on purpose as well. It's hard
Charming
to believe
motherfucker.
that pretty murderer.
Pretty murders in the building.
It is so much harder, mild tangent, but when you have an attractive defendant, it is so much harder to convict. So in jury selection, you have to kind of, you know, call certain things to potential jurors' attention and cover them. And when you have like a stunningly attractive defendant, you have to call attention to it and talk about people's natural biases towards like attractive people, pretty people, and break it down, because damn, you will get a not guilty so fast because everybody will be charmed by them, and it happens way too frequently.
Interesting.
All right, so can I just say really quickly, so this expensive equipment and everything and not knowing how to put a podcast together, Oliver doesn't know how to send a text, right?
I know.
The idea, I laughed out. I was like, ha, the absurdity, because it makes me happy, because if Oliver's the one editing all of this, you know, as I am Oliver, it's exactly my job in our little podcast trio. Like I'm the editor. I'm the, you know, the one who kind of organizes it. And when Tobert was saying, what kind of software does he use? And Mabel's like, I don't know. It's like, I'm sorry. y'all out there, do you know how long it took Jade? I do not, technology and I, no. That's a hard no. We do not like each other. Learning to edit a podcast and how to create and make a podcast, it damn near broke me, y'all. I got to the point where I was like, if this is what I have to do to podcast, I don't think that I might not be able to podcast anymore. I can't. Like, I hate editing. And it's fine. Now I'm pretty smooth with it, but learning how to do it, I'm sorry, no. In no reality is Oliver doing this. Just in no.
No.
He's paying somebody now.
And then my notes just say LOL, Mabel, I'll just record this podcast on my phone. LOL. That's literally my notes. The absurdity.
That's cute.
Yeah, you don't record a podcast on your phone and have it be successful. Nope, that does not occur. So, funny things.
People will write in and complain about the audio immediately.
Oh, yeah. People have audio complaints even when your audio is good and you work really hard at it. So, that was funny. Gotta love TV Land logic. So anyway, getting to the end here, Mabel's moved out. She releases the podcast on her own. There's another woman in Mabel's apartment holding the most obviously fake baby I've ever seen on television. That
she was such a bitch.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not paying to unfuck your hernias. I was like, what?
I know, it was so weird.
Yeah, she was not supporting that baby's head at all.
It was so funny.
That was clearly a small baby. I was like,
Ew.
And then we see Dickie has Ben's hanky, paid $7,000 for it. Why? In God's name, why? You got that kind of money? It must be nice. And then the cops, we see this cop guy, I forget his name, probably unimportant. Why do we need another police detective, by the way? Why can't it just be Detective Williams? Why? I really want
Did
it
they
to just
ever
be her.
explain that? Because if she moved to like another division or got promoted, then maybe she wouldn't be working directly on the case anymore. But
they never explained it in story. It's possible that, I think her name is Joy Divine. I love her so much.
Yeah.
She is, I just love her. I really wish it was just her. But it must be a thing where they couldn't have gotten the actor available.
Scheduling.
Yeah. But it's fine because the cops are like very much not a thing in this season. Where is Mabel living? Big questions. We do not know. Why would you
not living with Taubert? That's too soon.
Oh, I don't think so. I do not think so.
Better not be.
I hope she's living with Theo.
That'd be great. They're roomies.
That'd be cute.
I hope there's more Theo.
And Theo moved out. He moved out of the building.
That's
right?
true.
Didn't he?
Oh, I bet you're right. I bet
to
they
get
are
away with
living
Teddy
together.
So his father paid for his apartment somewhere else. His father Teddy had the apartment in the building. I don't think Theo's apartment was ever in the building. So because you remember in season 2 when Mabel goes there after she has her stabbing on the train, her knitting needle glitter guy stab moment.
Bloody Mabel.
Yep, Bloody Mabel. Who signs off on a podcast? # your podcast name. That was like, is that a thing? Maybe we should do that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, # perfectly marvelous.
It's just so funny. Like, this was clearly written by people who are older than millennial, Gen Z, whatever age, because the youngins don't say that. That was funny though. But see, these are the things that like the writing is hilariously nonsensical. It's silly.
It's silly.
It cracks me up. I love it. Please, more. Don't stop. Don't stop. So then, ending credits photo, we see Bloody Mabel. And all I could think is just Selena Gomez is so sexy with that knife in her mouth.
I know. I was just like, I'm no better than a man.
Yeah. Nope, me neither. Not at all. And then we see this Ben Glenroy bar/bat mitzvah DJ doll, including body glitter and limbo pole. I saw this in Greg's apartment, and I didn't mention it when we talked about Greg's apartment, but that was very funny. And apparently the reason for this is it's a homage to Paul Rudd, who was a bar mitzvah DJ in real life, which I did not. Apparently there's video evidence of this available. Google away.
I'm going to be looking that up.
So, anything more to say about this episode? We're sad that our trio is separated.
The only thing that I will say, I meant to mention it when we were talking about Dickie buying that handkerchief. when you look at that last scene, or I don't know if it's the last scene of the episode or close to the end, when he's holding it and staring at it and kind of turning it over, it looks like there are bloody fingerprints on it, you know? So I'm assuming that, you know, they wanted us to see that. But I don't know, I stopped it at one point and was trying to figure out, like, if there was a certain pattern or if we could tell anything from it. And all I can think about now is somebody in props, like, putting their false bloody fingerprints on it.
I was disturbed by the thought of Uma had that just kicking around in a purse.
I was so grossed out by that.
Got a bloody handkerchief.
I was just like, bitch, that's evidence. She committed a felony. Like, and turn that shit over to police.
It's also blood. Like, it wasn't in a sealed plastic baggie.
Yeah.
Bodily fluids are gross.
Not handling it with, like, gloves or anything.
Don't touch those things, Uma.
But Dickie also was handling it with that. So I was like, is that your blood, Dickie? Like, is there a reason you're comfortable?
Well, no, it's got to be Ben's blood. He used blood all over his body, but
there's fingerprints. What if somebody like?
Yeah, the fingerprint blood marks are strange.
Like I that sent me through a loop.
Okay,
that they were bloody. Okay,
we're getting into theories now. We're gonna move on to our theories portion.
Do it.
Cue theories all alone in the podcast. Cue the theme music.
I love it.